Hi, I'm Richard Redmond, host of The Play's the Thing. To quote Francis A. Walker, we come not to mourn our dead soldiers, but to praise them. With Memorial Day and Flag Day coming up, this program is a mixture of stories and poems to honor those who served and those who died for their country. Whether in the Army, or the Marines, or the Navy, or the Air Force, and whether they were enlistees or draftees, once they put on that uniform, they were all the same, defenders of our liberty. We start off the program with a short story about the American flag titled, That Star-Spangled Banner. I don't mean any disrespect, but that Star-Spangled Banner looks like it has seen better days. I'll bet its best days are gone. Why don't you fly a new flag?
New one, huh? Best days are gone, huh? Do you know anything about that flag?
It represents our country, the United States. It's a symbol.
A symbol, huh? Well, that there flag is a symbol of our nation's history, striving for independence and freedom. It tells a story. That flag is old as the nation. It originally started in May of 1776 when George Washington himself and Robert Morris and George Ross asked Betsy Ross to sew the first flag. The original flag was made of 13 stripes, alternate red and white. The Union was 13 white stars in a blue field, representing a new constellation. Now there were 50 stars, one for each state. Oh, the design of the flag may have changed when a new state was added, but the principles for which it represents are chiseled in stone. Do you know what the colors stand for?
No, not really.
Come on, I'll tell you a story. Red represents hardiness and valor. White symbolizes purity and innocence. And the blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Why, Old Glory there tells the story of the struggle for liberty and the sacrifices of brave men and women who treasured this nation dearer than life. It flies over cemeteries around the world, honoring those who died for it.
Well, you got to admit that one you're flying is a little shabby.
Yeah, well, it got that way for free and oppressed people. It's been through a lot of trials and tribulations. Just remember one thing. Freedom isn't free. It comes with a price. It started paying for that freedom during the American Revolution when it was cut by a sword. Then it got a little weather beaten at Valley Forge, and when Washington took it across the Delaware. On September 13th, 1814, during the War of 1812, it really took a pounding during a heavy bombardment of Fort McHenry by the British. The bombardment lasted a whole day and night, but when the dawn came, the flag was still there. Upon that joyous sight, Francis Scott Key was inspired to write, "Oh, say can you see, that star-spangled banner still waves." Now by 1861, that flag had 34 stars, one for each state. But during the Civil War, when the South seceded from the Union, President Lincoln would not allow any star to be removed from the flag. Now all those bullet holes are from World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, and wherever she went to defend freedom and fight oppression. That flag shows the scars for the price you pay for freedom. It's been raised in Iwo Jima, lowered in Vietnam. It's been burnt and desecrated and ridiculed and buried in rubble. But it's never fallen. That star-spangled banner yet waves over the land of the free and the home of the brave. It's used to cover the casket of presidents, of soldiers who have given the ultimate sacrifice for it. It flies around the world as a symbol of freedom and justice, of a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Hell, it even stands on the moon. Now there's some people who want to bring it down, change the very concept for which it was found. But they might as well try to stop the earth from rotating. So long as the sun rises and sets, man has a God-given will to be free. So we raise it proudly, pledge allegiance to it every day, one nation under God. Now you're right, my friend. That shabby, torn, and tattered Star-Spangled Banner might have seen better days, but I'm betting that its best days are still yet to come.
Up next, a short poem titled Just a Common Soldier. He was getting old and paunchy, and his hair was falling fast. And he sat around the Legion telling stories of the past, of a war that he had fought in and the deeds that he had done. In his exploits with his buddies, they were heroes, every one. And though sometimes to his neighbors his tales became a joke, all his Legion buddies listened, for they knew whereof he spoke. But we'll hear his tales no longer, for old Bill has passed away, and the world's a little poorer, for a soldier died today. He will not be mourned by many, just his children and his wife, for he lived an ordinary and quite uneventful life, held a job, raised a family, quietly going his own way, and the world won't note his passing, though a soldier died today. When politicians leave this earth, their bodies lie in state, while thousands note their passing and proclaim that they were great. Papers tell their whole life stories from the time that they were young, but the passing of a soldier goes unnoticed and unsung. Is the greatest contribution to the welfare of our land a guy who breaks his promises and cons his fellow man, or the ordinary fellow who, in times of war and strife, goes off to serve his country and offers up his life? A politician's stipend and the style in which he lives are sometimes disproportionate to the service that he gives, while the ordinary soldier who offered up his all is paid off with a medal and perhaps a pension small. It's so easy to forget them, for it was so long ago that the old Bills of our country went to battle, but we know it was not the politicians with their compromised employees who won for us the freedom that our country now enjoys. Should you find yourself in danger with your enemies at hand, would you want a politician with his ever-shifting stand? Or would you prefer a soldier who has sworn to defend his home, his kin, and country, and would fight until the end? He was just a common soldier, and his ranks are growing thin. But his presence should remind us we may need his likes again. For when countries are in conflict, then we find the soldier's part is to clean up all the troubles that the politicians start. If we cannot do him honor while he's here to hear the praise, then at least let's give him homage at the ending of his days. Perhaps just a simple headline in a paper that would say, "Our country is in mourning, for a soldier died today." The following poem was written by United States Army veteran, Specialist 5th Class Roger Robichaux. For more of his poems, you can go to his website, thepoeticplumber.com. You need not ever know my name. This unknown soldier seeks no fame. I'm here to bring out thought from you. May your heart see more than your view. America, we marched with pride. We gave our life. For you, we died. How well we knew the time might come when life could sound that final drum. Please think of us as life moves on. We tried so hard till that last dawn. Do let our spirit fill the land, pass treasured freedom hand to hand. God bless this country with such love. Hold in your heart abundance of. And when you stand before my grave, think not of one, but each who gave.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now, we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation, so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Well, the country did endure, and Abraham Lincoln was wrong. That speech was remembered. And now, for some more Memorial Day poems.
Each donned their uniform to be defenders of our liberty. Their mission sure, their spirits bright. Guard freedom's home, be brave to fight. One final day, each faced their call. Each gave their best, enduring all. We'll never know what they went through, but know they loved this country true. Deep down inside, we should all feel what heroes gave, their cost so real. We must stay thankful, grateful of the gift of freedom through their love. Their loved ones bore the gravest pain. What we can't know, some now sustain. To God I pray their pain will cease, and each will find long-lasting peace. Remember this from year to year, what heroes gave shan't disappear. We'll never let their special day, their time for honor slip away. These brave fought for a nation free. If not for them, where would we be?
I watched the flag pass by one day. It fluttered in the breeze. A young serviceman saluted it, and then he stood at ease. I looked at him in uniform, so young, so tall, so proud, with hair cut square and eyes alert. He'd stand out in any crowd. I thought of how many men like him had fallen through the years, how many died on foreign soil, how many mothers' tears, how many pilots planes shot down, how many died at sea, how many foxholes were soldiers' graves. No, freedom isn't free. I heard the sound of taps one night when everything was still. I listened to the bugler play and felt a sudden chill. I wondered just how many times that taps had meant amen, when a flag had draped the coffin of a brother or a friend. I thought of all the children, of the mothers and the wives, of fathers, sons, and husbands with interrupted lives. I thought about a graveyard at the bottom of the sea, of unmarked graves in Arlington. No, freedom isn't free.
As we stand here looking at the flags upon these graves, know these flags represent a few of the true American brave. They fought for their country, as man has through all of time, except that these soldiers lying here fought for your country and mine. As we all are gathered here to pay them our respect, let's pass this word to others. It's what they would expect. I'm sure that they would do it if it were me or you, to show we did not die in vain, but for the red, white, and blue. Let's pass on to our children, and to those who never knew what these soldiers died for. It's the least we can do. Let's not forget their families. Great pain they had to bear, losing a son, father, or husband. They need to know we still care. No matter which war was fought, on the day that they died, I stand here looking at these flags filled with American pride. So, as the bugler plays out taps, with its sweet and eerie sound, pray for these soldiers lying here in this sacred, hallowed ground. Take home with you a sense of pride you were here Memorial Day, celebrating the way Americans should on this solemnest of days.
Through the field of war, they brave this day. How proud they stand, their unselfish way. Our soldiers bear what we cannot see. They assure our right to live life free. Each trained will face an unknown fate. Our support they need, don't hesitate. Just imagine how this land would be without their courage. Catastrophe. All the liberties we have grown to know would not exist. This life would go. Find a thankfulness within your mind. Speak gratitude for our bravest kind. Have the willingness to show you care for fallen heroes. Hold back no tear. Reach out to God with his guiding light, for our troops do pray both day and night. America, raise your flags to wave, for we truly are home of the brave. To all who served and to all who died, thank you. God bless America.